Hey guys, it's Jeff Brown over at the house, and I was thinking to tell you a story today about the time my wife, my mom, and I got drunk in Mexico. Now, first of all, I know you're saying to yourself, Jeff, why are you getting drunk in Mexico? Well, first of all, this was a lot of years ago. A lot of years ago. I was younger, my wife is younger, mom younger, but still, there we go. I don't know if it was a smart idea, but nevertheless. Um, at the time, we lived in Southern California, my wife and I, and she's from Southern California. And we lived down there for some years, and mom had decided to come down for a visit. Well, I think she stayed down there not quite a week, and I had taken the time off, and we had done all the typical tourist stuff. I mean, I think we went on the game show, The Price is Right. We went to Disneyland. We did, we went to the beach. We did a bunch of stuff, and at some point we kind of ran out of steam. We kind of ran out of things we were doing. So my wife and I had gone to Mexico quite a bit because we were only about an hour and a half maybe from the border. We used to go down there from time to time. And so we talked mom into it. We're telling her, oh, Mexico's going to be fun, and she's like, well, I've never been to Mexico, So we book a room in Ensenada, which is probably another 45 minutes or so below the border, and off we go. So we're driving, and you pass through San Diego as you're driving down there. And as we pass through San Diego, mom starts asking, is this Mexico yet? And I'm like, Mom, this isn't Mexico, And, a little while later, she'd ask it again, is this Mexico? Are we in Mexico now? I'm like, Mom, you'll know Mexico when we get there. So, we finally get to the border, and, first of all, there's a border, and sorry, my computer's monitors behind me are changing colors. Anyway, so we cross the border, and if you've ever crossed into, Mexico, across the border there at Tijuana, it's a stark contrast. It's a stark contrast between the United States and Tijuana, Mexico. And I don't know how it is now. I've been there for years. But back then there were shanty towns on the hillsides. I mean, just really, it was like something. And the funny thing is my mom had been chatting all the way down there asking, is this Mexico? Is this Mexico? And by the time we got down there and crossed the border, she just said nothing. She was just like, what in the world, is this? So anyway, we get through Tijuana and we start driving towards Ensenada, and it takes you along the coast, which is just beautiful. I mean, just this beautiful drive, little 2-lane road winding along the coast, and we even stopped to take pictures a few times. So we get into Ensenada, and we get all booked into our motel. And like I said, my wife and I had been there quite a few times, so we're thinking, well, let's take mom around and, show her kind of the town and what's here. And we did a few of the things, and we walked through the shops and bought some little knickknacks and different souvenirs or whatever. And then we went over and had a beer at one of the places, and then we had some fish tacos, and their fish tacos in Ensenada, I swear to you, it's the best thing you've had. I mean, if you haven't had some of that action, get down there and get some, because it is good. But anyway, we did all that. We get back to the hotel, and now it's, getting on into the later afternoon, early evening. And my mom's talking about strawberry margaritas. And she keeps saying, oh, strawberry margarita. And, she had had one at some restaurant years and years before. But she's like, strawberry margaritas. So my wife and I we're like, let's go get her one, So we find this little bar that's like right around the corner from the hotel. And this is a local bar. I mean, it's this tiny little local bar with local people. And, that when I say tiny, this bar has probably got like seating for maybe 15 people. I mean, this is a tiny little bar, but it's nice because it's right where you can see the ocean. So it kind of sits so that the actual bar kind of overlooks the ocean. So anyway, we order these strawberry margaritas. And the thing about strawberry margaritas in Ensenada is they're not like strawberry margaritas in the U.S. I mean, and strawberry margaritas in the U.S., you put a bunch of strawberry stuff in there. You have strawberries themselves, and you do a shot of tequila, and, that's your strawberry margarita. Well, when you're down in Mexico, what they basically do with a strawberry margarita is they pour you a huge glass of tequila, and then they wave a strawberry over it. It's like hardly any strawberry at all. It's mostly just tequila. So we start drinking these strawberry margaritas, and now it's been several hours since we ate lunch, and my mom starts getting kind of buzzed, she's getting happier and happier as we drink this margarita, and we order a second margarita. And my mom's, we're laughing and we're getting loud. And the thing you don't know about my family is we're just loud people. And we're in this bar acting like fools. We're getting all drunk. The other local people in the bar are probably looking at us. Man, my computer is changing colors on me and all this stuff. The monitors are right behind the phone. Anyway, so we're getting all loud and stupid. And the people are starting to look over at us. And my mom starts talking, she starts yelling the only Spanish she knows, which is "Que hora es?" which is "What time is it?" So my mom's yelling out, "What time is it? Que hora es?" And then she'd laugh, and then she'd yell "Que hora es?" And the first time somebody told her what time it is, I think. And then she'd yell it again and laugh, and I'm telling her, like, this is their language, Mom. Don't be mocking. And she'd go, "Oh, no, no. I would never want to mock their language." And then she'd start doing it again. So right about then, I'm thinking, it's been a few hours since we ate the fish tacos. We got to get her some food. We're all kind of getting buzzed, And right then this guy comes over, and he starts kind of confronting my mom. And the crazy part about it is he's confronting her in Spanish, which we speak none of. My mom's not one to really back down. So she is arguing with the guy in English, and he doesn't seem to know English. She doesn't seem to know Spanish. And they're going at it. Well, like I said, I'd been to Mexico several times, and this wasn't like some tourist place where there was a bunch of people that worked at the resort trying to keep us from getting into trouble or something. This is a local bar. And I had known from being in Tijuana several times and Ensenada several times that you do not want to get in trouble down there, So I'm trying to calm things down. I don't know Spanish, but I'm making these gestures like, no. And I'm telling them, they're my mom, she's drinking, and, we don't want trouble with you, So I get the guy calmed down, and he goes back over. Well, at this point, I'm convinced we have got to get some food. We just have to get food. So I go over to the bar and I start telling this guy, I think we kind of moved over to the bar, and I'm telling this guy how we need food, And again, he doesn't really speak English. So, I'm telling him, food. I'm pointing at my mouth, and I don't even really know the name for food in Spanish. So I'm pointing at my mouth, and he goes onto the counter behind the bar and he starts messing with something, and he doesn't give us a menu. So I'm like, well, this obviously they don't have any actual food, but he starts messing with something, because he gets what we're saying about the food, and he can tell we're idiots, like drunk. So he's under the counter messing with something. And at some point he comes out and he lifts up this cutting board with some cheese on it, and don't get me wrong, this isn't some charcuterie board with all kinds of cool stuff on it. This is like a little cutting board with chunks of cheese on it that he's sliced up or whatever, and a few crackers or something, so it's not that fancy, but we were glad to get it, So we started eating this cheese, and I'm telling you, to this day, I think that was the best cheese that I've ever had in my life. It was creamy, it was tasty, it was a little bit, a little bit salty, I think, just good, and we were sitting there eating this stuff, and we're making all kinds of noise, like, oh yeah, this is so good. And so we start asking the guy again in English, and he doesn't really know what we're saying, but we're asking the guy, what kind of cheese is this? Because we're thinking, good golly, I've got to get some of this cheese. We got to get this cheese and take it back home. So he doesn't really know what we're saying. He's not sure, but we're pointing at the cheese and we're telling him, oh, it's so good. What kind of cheese is this? What kind of cheese? So at some point he kind of gets, I guess, what we're saying. And he looks at us with an odd look on his face. And then he like reaches under the counter and he brings up this bright yellow box and he says, Velveeta, and we look at the box, Velveeta, just like we would see anywhere, and the guy, like I said, he doesn't speak English, but he knows that Velveeta cheese is like something that's worldwide, and like he doesn't understand at all why we're just, devouring this cheese and just absolutely praising its name, and how good it is. So we kind of laugh and feel like idiots, and we I think the thing is, if you've ever had too much to drink and said got a hold of some food, it can just taste like heaven, and that's how we were that day. So anyway, but we ended up, I think finishing up our cheese and decided to go back to the hotel room, and I think we kind of passed out, woke up the next morning and headed back to America. But it was quite an adventure. And anyway, so that's my story. Sorry about my monitors flashing back and forth all different colors, but listen, that's my story about the time I got drunk in Mexico with my mom and my wife. So hope you enjoyed that. I certainly thank you for listening to my crazy story today. And hey, if you like that story, give me a like down there, and subscribe to my channel, because I got a lot more stories where that came from, and I would love to tell you them. So anyway, I appreciate you. Thank you for listening to the story today, and God bless you, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And listen, I'll be talking to you soon.